Think about the first time you've ever played a video game. Maybe for some, it would be Minecraft or Fortnite, if you're one of the younger people here. For others, maybe Super Mario, The Sims, Farmville. And then maybe for some others, it would be Tetris and Pac-Man. For me, the first game I ever played was FIFA. Except back then, 25 years ago, it didn't look like this, it looked more like this. I got into gaming, but things got a bit out of hand. By the time I was 23, I was totally addicted to playing video games. Fortunately, I've overcome my addiction. I work a lot with families, with parents, and their gamers who struggle with game addiction. And today I want to share with you how, for some people, gaming can become an addiction. Why, for some, it's a problem, while others can just do it as a hobby. And also what you can do as a parent or a loved one of someone who is struggling with game addiction. Let me start off by saying gaming has evolved tremendously throughout the years. And nowadays, games are sometimes so well developed that it becomes, for some people, really hard not to play. And this, for me, this was also the case. And I'd like to show it on this graph. This is basically how someone feels during the day. In the middle, it's average. At the bottom, very unhappy. At the top, you're feeling really, really good. Now, for most people, this would be pretty much how their life would go, full ups and downs, moments where it would go better than other times. But for me, when I started this thing called playing games and discovered video games, all of a sudden, it would give this immense feeling of joy, more than anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And once I felt this, nothing else could really compare. I started neglecting other areas in my life. My grades, for example, went down. And one by one, other parts of my life outside of gaming started getting more and more into problems. Now, you could say, maybe my grades went down, I should have studied, maybe I should fix it and study more, but because the pull was so big to play more, I would just play even more, and I would get more in trouble, because now my parents are nagging me, besides my grades going bad. Now I'm starting to quit scouts and quit soccer practice, and now even, well, there goes my social life as well. And so the difference between how I felt while I was gaming and how I felt outside of gaming just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the pull to game even more also increased at the same time. At some point, I would even the games would not even become so fun for me, because it's really hard to enjoy something when you realize that it's not good for you. But I still did it anyway because I didn't know what else to do, and it was still better than not gaming, so I kept doing it. I got into this vicious cycle of where I would play, and it would give me problems. These problems I didn't want to experience. I felt a bit of shame because I was getting into problems. I didn't want to experience them, so what did I do? I played even more. And you can replace gaming with gambling or with other addictions. It's the same process. In essence, it was a problem that I was trying to solve the same way the problem was being created. I didn't want to experience the problems gaming had created in my life, so what did I do? I played even more, and an addiction was born. This would continue for many years, until at some point I was 23 years old. I did spend still some time in school and graduated. But other than that, I had no idea what to do in my life. I had no job, no work experience, pretty much no social life, no relationship. I mean, I was just sitting at home, playing for days and days and months. Until all of a sudden, the power went out. I was sitting at home for a whole day, and I had nothing to do. During the whole day, the electricity went out in the whole street, and I had no idea how to spend my time. For me, it was really a strange experience. There was nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to speak with or to meet up with. And at that point, I really realized how dependent I had become on the internet and technology for everything in my life. My social life, my sense of purpose, my free time, how I filled it, everything was connected to screens and to the internet. And imagine for yourself, nothing would work of technology and internet, and you would be stuck at home playing, or maybe watching TV or Netflix, but it wouldn't be possible anymore. How would you spend your evenings, your weekends? What would remain of your life if we take away the internet? In my life, not so much. So I decided to do something about it. I picked up my life. I started talking again, going out, getting a job, started living on my own, working on my social skills, finding other hobbies and interests to go to, limiting also my internet use. I de-digitalized a lot of my life. And what I learned, apparently I'm not the only one who struggled with this, because apparently 3% of people struggle with, 3% of teenagers struggle with game addiction. That's 40,000 people in Belgium alone. Across the world, millions of people. I started working with families struggling with this, and there were a few things I noticed. One was there's three elements that have an impact on whether or not someone develops a game addiction. And the first thing is the person. Some people are simply more prone to becoming game addicted than others. The people I encounter are mostly young men who are more introverted, who have an above average IQ, and who struggle with things like socializing, overthinking, procrastination. Often also signs of autism, ADHD, sometimes being gifted as well. And all these people, they have a natural tendency, because of this personality, to be attracted to screens in general and to games in particular. Now, it's not only the person, it's also the games. Some games are so well developed, and especially the games that are fulfilling many of the needs that these gamers have, and they're not, for whatever reason, they're not seeing that fulfilled in their life outside of gaming. That's when these games start becoming really attractive and maybe a bit too hard to let go for these people. Maybe they're having a hard time socializing in the world offline and making friends. But in games, they can connect with others from the safety of their bedroom in a controlled environment. Maybe someone is struggling with their purpose. Who am I? What am I going to do in my life? School is maybe a bit boring. And all of a sudden you have these games that say like, hey, we need a hero. We need someone to save the princess. We need someone to slay some dragons, to save the world. And of course, that's a lot more exciting for these guys than doing the dishes. And then finally, there's also the environment. Some environments are more stimulating to create a game addiction than others. There's obvious things like getting bullied at school, maybe having a hard time at home with family issues or friends. But it could also just as well be that maybe they're living in a very busy, chaotic environment and household, while what they really need is structure, routine, and healthy boundaries, as well as on screen time. Now, alone, these three things don't really create a game addiction. 50 years ago, people like this existed as well. But then there were no games, so there wasn't a problem. But now, when we combine these, that's really when game addiction can start. And that's really when you could say we create a perfect storm for a game addiction to be created. Now, fortunately, there is something you can do about it. You can't change much about the person. You can't change about someone's personality. You can't change much about games. They will probably still be around for a while. But you can do something about the environment. So think about about the graph earlier. It's going down. So what we want to do is we want to help them to get that graph back up. And what are we going to focus on? What do I focus on when I work with these people is really to help them make progress in their life outside of gaming. So, because right now the gap is really big between how they feel when they're gaming and not gaming, it becomes really hard for them to to stop and to get a job and to meet with people and all these other things. And the worse their life goes, the bigger the gap becomes. But gradually, by making small progress in their life outside of gaming, the desire to game, the need to game for them will gradually go away, and they can eventually create healthy habits when it comes to gaming and screen time. Now, there's 4 things you can do as a parent or a loved one of someone who is struggling with game addiction. And the first thing is to show genuine interest. Ask questions. Maybe play with them. Of course, probably they'll beat you, but that's okay. What it's really about is helping them feel understood, helping them feel like you care and that you're trying to understand their world, even if it's totally not your thing. Help them, and you will see that when you really show this interest, they will be much more open to sharing things with you, to talking with you, to listening to the things you say, and you'll be able to have a bigger impact on their life. Second, create screen-free moments. For someone who has gaming at 10 out of 10, for fun, it's really hard to do other things that have nowhere near the same enjoyment as the games. So I see so many parents trying hundreds of suggestions to get their kid to do something else, but as long as they have the option of, yeah, but I could just sit at home and play all day, it's not going to happen. So create screen-free moments, and of course, do this, start small. I don't want to create big problems at your house. Start by creating, for example, a screen-free evening in the week. One evening in the week, we do the screens away for a few hours, we play some board games, do things on our own, maybe go out somewhere, maybe even upgrade it every now and then to maybe a whole day. But you'll see this will really help a lot, especially when it comes to the next step, which is to help them make progress in their life outside of gaming. When I have talks with these people who are struggling, it has a lot to do with small steps they have a hard time setting. Things that maybe for you are very easy and just you don't even think about it. But stuff like texting a friend to meet, sending out that email for the job interview, finally getting that driver's license done. All these things, for you, maybe it's easy, but for others, especially these guys, it can be really tough. But by making small incremental progress in their life, I usually focus about 5 to 10% out of their comfort zone every week. We make challenges, and gradually you see you can have a big impact on their life there. Finally, think about the example you're setting. If you're spending your whole evening watching TV and checking social media, it's really hard to expect your kids to read a book. So think about how am I spending my evenings? How am I spending my free time? And what kind of example do I want to give my kids? Because they will subconsciously learn a lot from how you deal with these things. To conclude, game addiction is real. Millions of people around the world are struggling with it. There's not much you can do about someone's personality or the games, but fortunately there is a lot that you can do from the outside still. Show genuine interest. Create screen-free moments. Help them make progress in their life outside of gaming. And set the right example. Will help them to create beautiful, fulfilling, and productive lives.